Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tammy and today I'm teaching you how to paint these bright and juicy raspberries. So let's get to it. All right, so I have a sketch on my sketchbook here. If you want to pause the video, you can go ahead and use it as a reference, or you can just paint freely as well, which can be really fun. I just chose today to do a sketch just so that I could get my composition a certain way. So I am adding in some really light green paint. If you're new to watercolor, that means that you're just adding a ton of water and very little pigment. And as you can see there, I added some brown to the green, so that last leaf is a lot more different, and it's going to stand out. I don't want all my leaves to be the same shade of green. And you can even add in some more of a bright green on top of this wet paint if you want to. I think I might do that later. But right now, I'm just making some wonky leaves. I'm allowing them to be a little bit curvy, a little bit wobbly. I don't know. That's probably not the best word for it, but just holding my brush quite loosely and just waving it back and forth as I'm drawing in the edges of my leaves. And so I'm also keeping in mind that I want to keep my stem about that same color of the green. I wanted to make sure that some of the leaves that are overlapping each other, that their boundaries, their edges look different. So they have different colors, so you can see where one leaf stops and the next one begins. And now we're going to take some really watery pink paint. We're going to alternate pink and red here just to give our raspberries different looks. And I'm making really tiny circles just to emulate the little tiny pieces that all come together as one for our raspberries, the little balls that they have, little portions. And so if you're finding, and I'm trying to do circles versus blobs, so that you have a little bit of white space in the middle. If you're finding that because you're painting so small, that it's just filling in that circle, then dab your paintbrush on a paper towel or something like that, just so you have less liquid on there, and you should be able to make those circles. I'm going rather quickly, and I'm just kind of roughly outlining the shape of a raspberry. And we'll do some more layers on this too, so no worries if you don't like how it turns out right away. We have time to augment and change it. So pretty watery paint here too. Very light. We're going to do 2 or maybe even 3 layers depending on how I feel. So I've got some red on my brush right now, and it looks a little similar. It looks similar, yes, to the pink, but we will map that out a little bit more defined later, so no worries on that. All right, so I just added in a little bit more saturated paint, just kind of touched down with my paintbrush on the wet paint, and that spread some really nice color on top. So, we are not going for realism, but we do want we want people to recognize what we've painted, right? With anything, unless we're doing abstract and we want people to just interpret it themselves and garner meaning based on what they're seeing. But we want people to be able to be like, okay, that is a raspberry, that is a leaf. Just gonna add a few more leaves here. There is a smudge on my paper, and we will take care of that later because we are going to use the splatter technique, which covers a myriad of mistakes. And I don't want to think of this as a mistake. I just want to think of it as, oopsie, a little happy little accident, as Bob Ross would say. So, look at your composition though. I've added in several leaves that I hadn't sketched in, so just kind of see what makes sense, what's going to look good. I'm just using a wet on wet technique to add a little bit more of that green paint to the leaves, and just kind of letting it dry like that, and we'll see how it is. So filling in another raspberry behind this one in the front. And this is a pretty quick painting. We do this in less than 10 minutes. It's a great sketchbook activity just to practice. Now, I did give this some time to dry, and now we're at a better stage where we can start adding in the next layer. So at this point, you can decide, you could even leave it like this if you wanted to. I feel like it's a bit shallow, it's a bit one-dimensional, and adding in some layers will be really good. So darker red and pink paint. I'm just going to kind of alternate the colors that I'm putting on the raspberry depending on which one I want to stand out. And I'll kind of show you that as we go along. So I hope you're enjoying painting this. Definitely make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you know when I post new videos or other posts and such. And also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. It helps other people get wind that this is a fun video and that people are enjoying it. And also I teach Patreon as well on Patreon, and that is a channel where I teach watercolor. So it's linked in the description of this video. If you're interested, I think my subscriptions start at just $2.50 a month for exclusive tutorials. I have other levels as well, so definitely check that out if you're interested. And it's also a great way to support my channel. I appreciate you guys considering it. I'm so glad you're here. I hope your raspberries are coming together here. I've just done the same technique, little circles. You can even do little blobs if you're feeling like it. And not covering up that first layer completely, of course, but leaving a lot of that space still to show through and available so that we have those layers. And we're looking for a more 3D look where it just pops off the page. This is a great time to be able to augment the shapes. If you feel like the shape is off, it's not really looking like a raspberry for you, you can kind of change it. Sometimes if your berry is a little bit wide in one part and you need it to be wider in another, you can just add in a little bit of a little row of circles and you just kind of go from there. Now we're going to start doing our line details on our leaves. You can leave them like this if you want. I'm mixing up sap green and some brown to create a nice dark saturated color. I'm using my liner brush here and we're just going to go for it. So just adding a line down the center, and I needed a little bit more water there. Sometimes your paint is a little too thick and needing more water so that it can glide properly over your object. So we're just going to do that line down the center and then these diagonal lines that come out from the center to the sides. And that's going to be our leaf right there. You see how it comes together so nicely. I enjoy using those details, and I might leave some of them without the lines just for some interest. We want to make sure that we have some aspects that are asymmetrical. It just makes your eye enjoy the experience more. Versus if everything is matchy-matchy, sometimes it can get a little boring. So it's been a while. We've been painting for over 7 minutes and I haven't checked in with you. Please just be aware of how you're feeling, and if you're feeling anxious or tense, definitely take a deep breath or a couple deep breaths and remind yourself what this is supposed to be fun and this is practice. And I talk about mental health in a lot of my videos over on Patreon as well. And as a mental health therapist and an artist, I like to meld these two beautiful mediums that can bring healing and rejuvenation in our lives. So I was adding in here some more those little line details on the top of the raspberry, the little leafy parts. Don't know the actual name there. We'll just say leafy parts for now. Still using my liner. I did darken up a little bit of my stems as well. This is a pretty simple painting, and it's meant to be able to give you confidence and enjoyment. But you know what? I really appreciated painting this. I had so much fun. I found a reference photo, a couple of them actually, and I made my own composition within this. But this has been really fun. I usually paint flowers and sometimes landscapes, but I've really been in the mood for painting fruits for some reason. And soon I'll be making a video with peaches. I already did some samples and it was pretty fun. So look for that coming soon on my channel. But anyway, for the raspberries here, darkening up the edges of some of these, especially if one raspberry is on another, so that you can see again where one edge stops and one other edge begins, and then you can differentiate between those berries. So splatter, just tapping your brush that has some watery paint on it. Voila, now you have an instant mistake eraser. Thank you for being here, guys. I appreciate you all, and we'll see you on the next video.